From their athleticism and competitiveness, motherhood to the push for social justice and change, the women in the W never cease to amaze. And we've got you covered from courtside to the outside. This is the Hardwood 94. Let's tip off. Welcome to the Hardwood 94. I'm your host, Jackie Rae. It appears the mighty Las Vegas Aces may have found their kryptonite in the New York Liberty, especially since the Aces have lost the last couple of meetings against the team, along with the Commissioner's Cup. One thing I noticed is without my GOAT, Candice Parker, the Aces seem to have difficulty with Jonquel Jones in the paint. Head coach Becky Hammon truly has her work cut out for her. And before the game, a mic'd-up A'ja Wilson said the Aces needed to treat this like a championship game. I agree, but with the slow start, A'ja struggling to score in the second half, and the Aces losing by 19, I think this game was cause for some concern. But in true Hall of Fame fashion, Becky Hammon is calm, cool, and collected. After the Commissioner Cup, she said, "I don't mind getting our asses whipped every now and then. It's a good reminder that you're still human, and you gotta go out, you gotta prove it every moment you're out there." The Aces are still a good team without Candice Parker, but will it be enough to obtain another championship this season, especially if they go up against the Liberty, who after many questions are getting it all right at the right time? Between Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Courtney Vlanderstoot, and Jones, it seems like Coach Sandy has these ladies ready and are now primed for a championship. Now, with all the excitement surrounding the Commissioner's Cup, the WNBA has to answer the question of why fans continue to have difficulty viewing the games, especially with a huge primetime matchup like the Aces versus the Liberty. These are the types of game that elevate the league and put them on a larger network where everyone should be able to view it, especially in bars and restaurants around the country. I have primetime TV, so it's no problem for me, but I really wish the W was more accessible, especially to fans who don't want to subscribe to every single streaming service under the sun just to watch their favorite player or team play. But that's a soapbox for another day. Coming up, we are going to talk expansion, and Cathy Engelberg has a couple of places in mind. Stay tuned.
Yeah, this league is a sisterhood. It's way more than just a game. It's an empire. A fearless empire. More side-swiping steals? Check. We got hoops, drive, and passion. Easy. More buckets, extra sauce? Order up. More dimension-defying dimes, more dancing than a Saturday night. Now this is what I call prime time. You see that?
This is Stewie, and you're watching Hardwood 94.
Welcome back to the Hardwood 94. We are your go-to for getting to know players and coaches and the latest that's going in and around the W. Cathy Engelberg recently visited Denver in order to meet with investors regarding possibly bringing a WNBA team to my hometown. Okay, hear me out on this one. As a Denver native, I can tell you Denver shouldn't just be on the short list. It should be at the top because Denver is a sports town. If you're not an outdoorsy person or you don't like to ski, the only thing left to do is be a sports fanatic. And Denver already has proven they will show up for women's basketball because we already had one. The Colorado Explosion was a women's team in Denver from 1996 to 1998 in the American Basketball League. Did I go to a game or two? Of course I did, because much like the WNBA does now, they would bus out kids to games, especially us young female athletes, to encourage us to continue to work hard. The team only folded because the league couldn't compete with the WNBA, so I think it's only fitting to bring it back, because I promise you if they do, Denver is going to show up and show out. I don't know where Denver is on the list, but the other cities in contention include Charlotte, Nashville, Philadelphia, and Toronto, to name a few. All great contenders, but for me, if the expansion doesn't go to Denver, it really should go to a city that isn't even on the list, but help put this league on the map with their multiple consecutive championships and develop 3 notable stars of the game. Those are Sarah Swoops, Tina Thompson, and Cynthia Cooper. Their team was the Houston Comets. To me, this should be one of the cities for strong consideration and bring back the Comets. Much like the NBA is looking to bring back basketball to Seattle and resurrect the Sonics, the W should do the same with Houston and the Comets. If I were the league and Houston was granted a team, I would make sure to bring out Swoops, Thompson, and Cooper, and maybe a member of the Rockets, or dare I say NFL CJ Stroud, who will still be quarterback in Houston at the time. Make it a star-studded sports event. That's just a thought. Also, can't forget a special moment in WNBA history, as this week is the anniversary of Tamika Catchings winning her Rookie of the Year honors. The Hall of Famer and 10-time All-Star averaged 16.1 points per game and played a total of 457 games in her illustrious 15-year career. Stay tuned because you don't want to miss this week's Jackie Rae What You Say, because you know I'm coming with some heat for these media streets.
A dark spirit has cursed this house.
Surprise.
Is anybody else seeing this?
Wait!
If we don't stop him, we could be trapped here forever.
Disney's Haunted Mansion. Did he look human? Sorta.
He carried his head in a hat box. What part of that is sorta?
Rated PG-13.
We're back on the Hardwood 94. Some good news for Washington Mystic fans. According to Karine Copeland of the Washington Post, Eric Talbot said that Elena Delle Donne and Ariel Atkins were full participants in practice. This could mean they're closer to coming back, and this couldn't be a better time as the Mystics are holding on for a strong playoff appearance, and Delle Donne would be a significant difference maker. And now it's time for Jackie Rae What You Say. I hope you guys are ready for this one, because this isn't going to be my typical rant where I give you a bright idea or I tell you things that I think the W could do better. This one's an accountability rant, and to be honest, I think women journalists like myself, we have to, it's just going to hurt to say, y'all, but I think we owe men an apology because we haven't done our due diligence on talking about this Riquna Williams situation. Now, if you don't know, Riquna, 3 months ago, I want to say 3 or 4 months ago, roughly, she was very open about her mental illness. I don't know if you saw that video. If you haven't seen it, it's still on YouTube. You can go back and see it on the Las Vegas Aces page. I personally really resonated with her in that moment. I haven't suffered from mental illness the way that she has, but when she talked about maybe not necessarily being bullied, but not knowing who to talk to, holding things in. She has trust issues, bipolar disorder, depression, all of these things. And I could see that even though she was trying to talk about it and raise awareness about it, she was still struggling. She had some difficulty. And even though I haven't had a one-on-one with her yet, I felt I connected with her in that moment. That's not a good reason not to talk about when people do something wrong. If this had been an NFL player or an NBA player, myself and every other journalist, every other female journalist would have dragged that man to heaven and back. We would have, and you know we would have, because if you scroll back on my social media far enough, you've seen me do it. I do think this is different. And while I think this is different, I don't know if it's a good enough excuse. For me, the reason why this is different is because, number one, as much as I hate to admit it, when we're talking about the NFL and the NBA, these are bigger stars. These are bigger athletes. And typically what we see is by the time it gets to the public, this has been going on for a while and somebody knows somebody who knew something about it and they were all covering it up. And then it escalated. We had Urban Meyers cover stuff up for years and then get a job in the NFL like it was nothing. These are the type of things that we as women are used to. So I think that's why we dig in so deep and we grind our teeth on these things, because we want people to know this is not okay. You can't pay your way out of this. You have to go through the legal process and you should be held accountable. This isn't happening with Williams. She definitely is being held accountable. She's being held right now. She's going to go to court. She's going to go through this process. It's not a thing where she's possibly going to pay her way out of it. She's being held accountable. While that is true, and I love that, that's how our justice system should work, it's not really a good excuse for someone like me not talking about it. If I'm being honest, I had opportunities to talk about it, but I didn't really know how to talk about it, because you don't want to talk about a woman on the other side of the cross that you've died on so many times, that people should not hit other people, period, full stop. And I didn't take responsibility for that on this show. I didn't take responsibility for that in social media. I didn't do it. I didn't use my voice to say what I've said time and time again. It is never okay to put your hands on somebody else and mean them harm. It is never okay to do that. I don't have a good excuse. I don't have a good excuse. I would love to say that I do. And I would love to hear what other women are saying. I do think that we just kind of glossed over this, number one, because we can. Because it's the WNBA. We don't really have to shine lights on these disparaging moments because these stars aren't shining as bright as some of these other stars that we talk about. So we did it because we could, but also because we're just not used to seeing it. That's not a good enough excuse. We as women cannot have it both ways. We can't want people to be held accountable for things we're not going to hold our counterparts accountable for. We have to be even Stevens here, and I wasn't, so Jackie Rae, what you say, is saying that she's going to do better in the future. And I'm going to hold everyone to the same standard across the board. So men, you're probably not going to hear this again for a while from any woman in your life. But you were right. And that is Jackie Rae, what you say. That's our show. I'm your host. Jackie Rae, what you say was great. I hope, men, y'all are feeling good because I mean this. I'm sorry, y'all are right. Hang on to that for dear life because the woman next to you, she's not going to say that for a while. The game's over, y'all. We'll see you next week.